What is going on? And welcome back to another episode of I Coach Nutrition Radio. Been off the last few weeks here, so excited to be back on the podcast. To be honest, once you get close to kind of this 300 episode mark, man, it's hard to bring new content. Not gonna lie, the creative aspect of this and just continuing to bring new topics and new people into the podcast, it's a lot, especially when it's more of just a passion project than anything else. I've got a lot of other things going on outside of the podcast here, things that are, actually paying the bills, right? Just the social media stuff for me, it's just a passion project. It's not something, I make a living coaching clients one-on-one. And so everything that I do with social media is literally just to try to help people for free. So what we're going to do today is we're going to dive into, obviously the majority of the clients I work with are people that are looking to lose weight and lose weight in a sustainable way, right? America doesn't have an issue losing weight, even at this 50-60% obesity rate that we're at. We have an issue keeping the weight off. Okay. And so what I'm going to go through here is 5 significant reasons to lose weight. And we're going to kind of dive into this piece here. So I want you to join me here for a bit of a thought experiment, if you will. Okay. I promise there's a point to it. In fact, we'll soon talk about why most popular reasons for losing weight are either uninspiring or scientifically worthless. Okay. But for now, let's begin by setting our feelings, insecurities, assumptions, stories, and beliefs about body fat aside. And you might feel confused, right? Or defensive, right? Or saying yes, but, right? But just bear with me just for a few minutes, okay? All right, so forget for a moment about looking good, okay? Forget about thin privilege, forget about fat privilege, forget about personal rights or civic obligations, all right? Forget about abs and guns and lats and whatever other laundry list of nonsense is now used to describe various body parts. And while you're at it, forget about whether other wretchedness the internet has spawned this week, right? Thigh gap, duck lips, bikini bridge, manscaping. Yes, forget about body image altogether for me for a second here. All right. Also, forget about disease, right? Forget about all the big name medical scares, including atherosclerosis, arterial plaque, cardiac arrest, pulmonary hypertension, stroke, all the cancers, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, etc. Right? Forget about some randomly chosen biomarker, right? Like my glucose tolerance is good, I'm healthy and fat, right? Or my triglycerides are low, I'm healthy and thin. Or my cholesterol is excellent, I'm healthy and jacked, right? For a moment, let all that go, okay? And most of all, forget about health at any size. Yes, obese people do have the right to be treated with dignity. Absolutely and certainly. And yes, obese people should be supported in efforts to become more healthy outside of weight loss. As we all know, health isn't a direct function of your weight. However, the health at any size movement goes one step too far in suggesting that obesity is harmless, that it's not bad for you, that having excess body fat is of no more consequence than wearing a red sweater or driving a Nissan Sentra. But this is just simply not true. It contradicts most of the available evidence. So for now, forget about looking good, disease, and health at any size. Each of these obscures the real significant reasons people should consider losing weight. For example, mainstream conversion or mainstream conversation about fatness and health focuses on medical conditions that can kill or disable us. While these make for great headlines, this angle isn't very compelling. Why not? Well, imagine that bacon or broccoli or some other food causes a 10% increase in some horrible cancer type disease, right? Scary. Not when you realize that your chance of dying from that horrible cancer type thing without bacon or broccoli is only 1 in 100,000 or 0.001%. And that's a 10% increase from eating bacon or broccoli. It means your chance rises to 1.1 in 100,000, right? It doesn't really matter, right? It's not that big of a deal. The context matters, right? And so since we're all going to die anyways, medical scare tactics, fear-mongering people, it just simply doesn't come off as scary. especially when you know what the data really means, right? And it doesn't really motivate change either. And so the fitness industry, of course, takes another approach, right? In fitness, it's all about looking great in a certain type of clothing or on the beach or at your high school reunion. And while that can seem inspiring for a minute, it's not proven to be a sustainable way to achieve long-term weight loss and maintenance. And so what I'm going to go into today is 5 actual good reasons for losing weight. Okay, because in the end, the most popular incentives, scary disease statistics, and fitness industry vanity trips, they're just not that effective or useful or scientifically valid ways to promote weight loss. And so that's a huge missed opportunity, because there's much better reasons to lose weight, more pressing, more evidence-based, and more quality of life focused reasons. Sadly, they're not often talked about in the public debate, though. Right? Notice that I said the public debate. Scientists and doctors talk about them all the time, and they're well established in research, right? Nutritionists, trainers, coaches, we all talk about this stuff all the time. But in terms of the public, what you're seeing on these, articles, these magazines, these, in the news, these are the things you're not seeing there. All right, so let's talk about them. All right, reason number 5, your knees and elbows will thank you. Okay, osteoarthritis is a degenerative joint disease in which we lose cartilage and gradually destroy the bones of our joints. So imagine 2 rocks grinding together, right? You get the idea how fun that is. And so in my experience, right, healthy people in my experience, healthy people, they don't think much about osteoarthritis because it's common, right? And aging makes it more likely. Everyone's grandma had a twinge of arthritis, right? And so we think it's normal. This hides, though, the degree to which it can be very unpleasant and debilitating. Like most chronic illnesses, osteoarthritis is a vicious cycle. Right? Your joints hurt, so you move less. Moving less means your joints don't get loaded. Less joint loading means muscle weakness. Muscle weakness means force doesn't get cushioned correctly. Less cushion means the condition worsens. More osteoarthritis means more pain, and onwards we circle the drain. All right, so the point, obesity makes it much more likely that you will get osteoarthritis. In one study comparing the heaviest patients to the lightest, the chance of being diagnosed with osteoarthritis in one knee was more than 6 times in the heavy group. For both knees, it was almost 18 times. Naturally, other studies over the last 20 years have investigated the same relationship. Some estimates are higher, some are lower, but the association between body fat and osteoarthritis has been replicated several times. And the reason this happens is complicated. It isn't just that heavier people put more weight on their joints, and those joints then degrade over time. It's also that there seems to be a relationship between the presence of excess fat tissue and inflammation. Thus, the osteoarthritis probably comes from a combination of excess joint loading plus the inflammatory chemical and hormonal environment of having too much body fat. Okay. Bottom line, the important reason to lose weight is to reduce joint pain and improve your movement. These are things you can benefit from almost immediately. Number 4, you'll get a good night's sleep. Think of what happens when a rock slide blocks a tunnel. That sleep apnea, right? The upper airway collapses while you sleep, cutting off the oxygen tunnel. And just so you know, sleep apnea is more than a little snoring, right? See, sleep apnea means you stop breathing over and over and over as you sleep, which is bad, obviously, right? More body fat means more potential for sleep apnea. And this comes from a few different combined factors. So fat in your airway narrows the space available. This makes your airway more prone to collapsing. Fat in your upper body puts weight on your lungs and reduces the space available to them. And you need more oxygen, but you can't get it as well. And then fat, a hormone-producing organ, changes your hormonal signals, and this rewires your respiratory systems. So about 25% of adults have sleep apnea, 50% of obese adults have it. Even more scary, if you have mild sleep apnea and you put on weight, the chances of you graduating to moderate or severe sleep apnea are 5% weight gain. A 5% weight gain equals 250% increase of severe sleep apnea. 10% weight gain is a 650% increase in severe sleep apnea. And then a 20% weight gain is a 3,700% increase in severe sleep apnea, right? And it's scariest for children because 46% of obese children have sleep apnea, while the typical incidence in children is approximately 3%. So again, right, if you're obese, you're almost guaranteed to have sleep apnea, and it doesn't matter whether you're a child or whether you're an adult. So why is sleep apnea bad, right? Sleep is a major regulator of our metabolism. And if your sleep is bad, so is your metabolic health. This means things like elevated inflammation, rapid cell aging, oxidation, and hormonal disruption, and yes, higher risk for all kinds of chronic diseases in the long term. And so the bottom line, another important reason, right, to lose weight is so that you can sleep better. Not only does this help regulate metabolism, it also helps to regulate hormone systems and more. And it helps, not to mention, you feel, think, and live better right away. Okay. Reason number 3, you'll actually start to taste your food, right? This may sound weird, but it seems that people who struggle with their weight don't taste food as well. Okay. I know, right? You're like, what do you mean? That doesn't make sense. Right? But listen, people who often eat more food can't taste as well, right? And the why, well, honestly, we're not really sure, right? We don't know yet whether excess body fat changes your tastes or whether your tastes change your appetite and cause weight gain. We also don't know whether there's an issue of wanting taste, seeking and craving the reward of taste, or liking taste, actually enjoying taste, right? Or the chemical signaling, which is how taste is created in the mouth and interpreted by the brain. But here's what we do know. People vary in how well and sensitively they can perceive different flavors and textures, such as fattiness or sweetness. One hypothesis is that if we can't taste as well, we eat more food to compensate. And on the flip side, people with high BMIs seem to avoid bitter foods more and have a stronger disgust response. As it happens, many vegetables are bitter or astringent, right? I think like kale or Brussels sprouts, green peppers, etc. And so there seems to be a relationship between excess body fat, wanting and liking fat / sweet foods and pleasant tastes, as well as eating fat, sweet foods and avoiding unpleasant tastes. And so how might this happen, right? Animal models are handy here since we can control their food intake and they don't seem to care much about food advertising, right? So in animal models, what we see is overfeeding obesity-prone mice changes how their taste cells function. Rats with obesity-related changes in fat / sugar reward can at least somewhat reverse those changes with weight loss. And rats given weight loss surgery, yes, that's a real thing, appear to go back to their normal liking / wanting behavior. And so put simply, what could this mean, right? Well, many people with excess body fat also have altered flavor perception. The flavor perception could predate gaining fat, or the flavor perception could be caused by gaining fat, or both, right? The only observation I'll add is that the foods we consider to be the most responsible for obesity just happen to pander directly to this dysfunction by having aggressively over sweet, over salty, over fatty, etc., right, flavor profiles. And so we eat and eat and eat, but it never seems to actually satisfy you, right? And so this is the ironic part about food and how food is engineered. Okay, the good news is that both humans and rats' tastes are changeable, right? This means that losing fat, getting fit, and consistently building healthy habits can actually change how we perceive flavors in a good way, right? One day you might just find you like Brussels sprouts after all, right? More importantly, when you truly enjoy food, you eat less, but you feel much more satisfied. And so the bottom line here is that obese people have altered taste perceptions, leading to eating more and eating more of the wrong foods. And so by losing weight, you'll end up craving less high sugar and high fat food. You might even enjoy an extra vegetable or two, God forbid. Eat your veggies, people, grown-ass adults. Come on now. All right, reason number two. Okay, reason number two, your immune system will properly function again. Okay, it'll work properly again. So we tend to think of body fat like an ATM, a place where we deposit or withdraw energy, right? And it isn't. Honestly, it's not, right? Instead, you need to think about it as fat as an active endocrine organ, which means it secretes hormones and cytokines, which are cell signaling molecules. And then hormones and cytokines have effects throughout the body, right? They talk to one another chemically, right? And so, like all things, balance is important. If we have a healthy amount of fat, our hormones and cell signals will work properly. If we have too much, things go wrong. For example, too much body fat and our immune systems will get off kilter. That's a huge, scary pile of evidence, right? So I just want to keep it super simple. But increased BMI and more body fat is associated with greater risk for several kinds of infections, including gum infections, nose and sinus infections, stomach infections, and herpes, okay, of the mouth. Why? Well, too much adipose or fat tissue can release large amounts of immune chemicals. Over time, this chronic high exposure can interfere with the body's ability to spot and stop actual outside infections. And so the bottom line here is losing body fat can mean a healthier, more responsive, more robust immune system. And that means fewer colds, fewer infections, and a healthier daily life, right? Nobody likes getting sick. All right. And reason number one, you'll survive surgery and childbirth, right? People with a lot of body fat are harder to intubate, yes, intubate. Having a higher risk of incisional hernia post, I cannot pronounce any of these words, laparoscopy, however you say that, basically popping open again, right, after an incision, have a longer operation time, have a higher risk of catheter site infection, and have a higher rate of serious post-operative complications. And so surgery is a risky business for people who are obese. And this is a double whammy because people who struggle with obesity also struggle with more health issues that may require surgery. So obese people may need surgery, but may not be able to get it or not recover as well when they do. Pregnancy is a good example of this. Among women who are significantly obese, about 50% of them must undergo cesarean sections or C-sections, compared to only about 20% of the general population. Even if they give birth vaginally, obese women may have to have a lot more instruments and medical procedures involved. And after surgery, mothers with obesity may end up with more surgical site infections. And this is aside from other pregnancy complications, which also go up significantly as body fat increases. Body fat, or the bottom line here is that every surgery patient wants a safe and speedy recovery. And every mother wants a safe birth and a thriving, healthy baby, right? And having a healthy range of body fat makes those happy outcomes much more likely. Okay. So I want you to think to yourself, right, as you reflect on everything that we just talked about, right? I don't want you to forget about all the shoulds, as in you should lose weight, right? Or I do, after reflecting on all this, I want you to now forget about all the shoulds, right? You should lose weight because blah, 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 right? Whatever terrible thing is going to happen. What I want you to focus on is how awesome your life will be when your body is functional, when it's mobile, when it's metabolically healthy, right? And so go toward the good. We've noticed a trend in the stories of people who lost a great deal of weight, right? They focus on the small blessings and achievements of everyday life. I can live in a walk-up apartment right now. I can run around with my kids. I don't get tired through the day. Food tastes better. I can't explain how. My random aches and pains stopped. I can carry my 2-year-old without wheezing. I have so much more energy. I bounce back from illness straight away now, right? And they're always so satisfied. Number 2, seek incremental change, right? Thigh gap and healthy at any size are 2 extremes of one problem and an all or nothing approach to health and body weight. Real lasting changes in diet and lifestyle require a different approach, right? I coach nutrition coaching clients who achieve the most success, come to realize that incremental changes serve them best, and to their surprise, produce immediate improvements in quality of life. Number 3, focus on the tangible benefits, right? Losing weight isn't magical. Your life is still your life, regardless. Yet with a healthy amount of body fat, your life often becomes a little bit easier and better. You're a little more functional and mobile, a little more able. So if we talk about fat, let's not tell people or ourselves how to feel or how to cheat death. Keep the focus on positive changes, right? Positive changes you can see in your life just a few weeks away from now, right? Imagine what you could do in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? 6 months, 9 months, a year, right? Knees that work, colds that go away, a good night's sleep, food that tastes nice, a straightforward recovery after surgery, right? All of these things are things that, you just don't realize until it's gone, or if you don't have the opportunity, you take it for granted. All right, so you only get one body. Take care of it. Okay. Awesome. All righty, y'all. Well, thank you for those of you that stuck around as long as you did. Appreciate the love here on the podcast. Again, we're coming up on 300 episodes here. Kind of cool to say, kind of cool to think about. But yeah, if y'all have any more topics that you want me to dive into, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let me know. I'm probably going to be bringing some more iCoach Nutrition graduates onto the podcast here soon to share their journey. But yeah, outside of that, I hope everyone has an amazing 4th of July, and we'll catch up here next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.